What happens when your government spends $1.20 for every dollar it brings in? The answer? $36 trillion in debt and counting. But here's the kicker. In the last 115 days, we've added $1 trillion to that number. But what does this mean for the next crisis? As this debt continues to climb, so do the payments. In fact, $1 in $5 the government spends is to repay investors for borrowed funds, which means the ability to create growth from government spending is squeezed, limiting the impact of each dollar and severely reducing the United States' ability to respond to crisis. But thankfully, there's no crisis brewing, right? Because if there was, well, then we would need more funding with more impact, not less, to help the American people out of the next crisis. Something that most economists have been screaming about, picking up urgency in recent years as this spending has spiraled out of control. But let's be honest. When was the last time that you saw a headline on a major news network warning about the true dangers of national debt? I'll let you in on a secret. It's not that the issue doesn't exist. It's that addressing it does not serve the interest of those in power. While fear might sell, a full-blown panic doesn't fit their agenda. It has to be just enough. That's why they focus on topics that distract and divide. Take inflation, for example. When inflation hit record highs, how often did you hear the news say, this is the direct result of the government's completely out of control spending? No. What did they say instead? Oh, global supply chain issues and unexpected events.
Driven by goods shortages from supply chain issues.
Putin's price hike is hitting America hard.
There's no sort of bumper sticker answer that he can give to a complex problem like inflation like this.
Acknowledged one source of the problem, supply chain backlogs.
Give me a break. Unexpected events, there's nothing unexpected to those in power about what's going on. They know exactly what is happening. So why this narrative? Well, because the truth threatens the institutions and the elite agenda that the media is tied to. And if politicians admit that the United States is drowning in unsustainable debt, well, then they're forced to either raise taxes, cut spending, or both, none of which are popular options when you're trying to win a vote. So instead, they all continue to play kick the can down the road. Anyone who tells you that the United States will never default on its debt is repeating a soundbite that was designed to reassure the public without addressing the root issue. Those in power are playing a game of short-term gain for long-term pain, and you and I are left to deal with the fallout. Let's not forget, all we have to do is follow the money. The media is funded by advertisers, by major financial institutions who benefit from the current system. It's no surprise that they want to keep the system going. They're not the ones who are losing their retirement to inflation. It's you and I who are suffering at their benefit. All while telling you the debt doesn't matter, we can always print more. I mean, imagine telling your kids, well, we maxed out every credit card in your name, but don't worry, we'll figure it out later. That's what's happening at a federal level. But privately, they know the truth. The current manufactured crisis cannot go on forever, and as it escalates to a breaking point, they are left with two options. Option one, keep doing exactly what they're doing now. Ignore the debt, keep printing more dollars, and pretend none of it matters. We've already gotten a taste of how this plays out. Inflation will rise. Countries will move away from using the dollar, further hurting our purchasing power, and eventually this would lead us to hyperinflation. Now, option two is to have them focus on reducing the debt to stop overspending. But before you get too excited about this option, it also has its problems because the system, as we know it, is propped up. The stability we see is nothing more than an illusion, meaning that if they were serious about stopping their overspending, we could see the entire system collapse. Meaning that no matter what happens next, the average American loses their savings, their retirement, everything you've worked so hard for. Now, There are ways to protect yourself outside of the system, making sure that your wealth isn't in their control, such as holding physical gold and silver, something we'll talk more about in a second. But first, let me ask you, what option do you think they're going to choose? One or two, keep doing the same or to stop spending? Tell me what you think in the comments below. If you answered option one, keep doing what they're doing, I would agree with you. But let's take a step back and really think about how this impacts you, what's coming next, how it impacts you, because this debt, it's not just numbers on a screen. It has real world consequences for you and your wallet. The spending that's happening today is borrowing from tomorrow, meaning we are passing the burden to our children, our grandchildren. With the average tuition cost rising by 8% per year, yet us losing 25% of our purchasing power in the last 4 years, any kind of savings goal for the average American family is becoming impossible to achieve. They can tell us all they want, everything is fine. But what they're really doing is shifting the weight of their selfishness onto our shoulders and the shoulders of the next generation. I know there are people out there who don't want to hear this because on the surface, everything looks fine. Hey, I get it. The stock market is still functioning. The lights are still on. But let's be honest, the entire system is a house of cards propped up by this government overspending. We saw the truth in 2008 when the housing market crash revealed just how over-leveraged and interconnected the entire system was. And instead of solving the root problem, they papered it over. And so today, the same thing is happening, except on a larger scale. Banks are sitting on billions of dollars in unrealized losses at any moment. One misstep, a geopolitical risk, a sudden shock to the market could bring the entire thing collapsing down. And here's what they don't want you to know. The government's ability to respond to the next crisis is severely limited because they've already used up all of their tools. The low interest rates, the stimulus, the bailouts. What are they going to do when the next crisis hits? They can't just continue to print more money forever, causing hyperinflation. No, that's when we would see a currency reset, a revaluation or devaluation of the US dollar. Maybe that's when central bank digital currency, a CBDC, is ushered in. But no matter what, all of those scenarios are not good for you and I. This is why I do what I do, because too many people listen to the media, to those in power, to a coworker, tell them again and again, it doesn't matter, the debt doesn't matter, but it does. And it is time to prepare accordingly. What do I mean by that? Volatility is incoming as a result of a severely limited government and an interconnected system, which means that the best way I know how to protect yourself is outside of the system, outside of their ability to inflate or devalue or revalue your currency. Let me ask you this. Why don't they want you to panic? Why do they want you to keep everything in the dollar? I'll give you a hint. It's not to benefit you. It's to benefit them. If they really cared about you, if they really wanted you to protect your wealth, they would be doing things a whole lot different. They sure wouldn't be lying to you, telling you that the economy's fine and that the debt doesn't matter when they know that it does. Everyone is different, but I personally got tired of not having a plan in place for whatever is coming next, because I know all it takes is a moment, one spark to ignite a crash for our entire system. And I personally now have a plan in place centered around physical gold and silver, making sure that my wealth is protected outside of the system. And for me, that's how I can sleep peacefully at night, because I know that no matter what happens, if I wake up and there is a crash, a crisis, I know I'm protected. I want that feeling for everyone. So if you don't have a plan in place or you want a second opinion, I highly, highly urge you to get one in place. If you don't know where to begin or where to look, that is what our team is here for. Now, I can vouch for our team because they are industry experts. They understand the system. They understand currency life cycles, and they understand how to protect yourself with physical gold and silver. And again, everyone is different, so they will work with you on a custom strategy that makes sense for your goals, your concerns. All you have to do is call the number below or click the link in our bio. But again, no matter what you decide to do, I just urge you to make sure that you're protected outside of their control. And as always, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your support. I'm Taylor Kenney with ITM Trading, your trusted source for all things gold, silver, and lifelong wealth protection. Until next time.